As the movie begins, we see a lab rat caged in an unknown facility. Suddenly, an invisible force attacks it and eats it. Meanwhile, we see a scientist named Sebastian Cain, who besides spying on his neighbor, spends his time researching animals to make them invisible. And now he is looking for a technique to reverse the effect, or as he calls it, the reversion. Sebastian has an idea and reworks the chemical formula while running another simulation. This time, the element appears to be stable, and he is overjoyed that after a year of research, he has finally succeeded. Then Sebastian calls his colleague and ex-girlfriend Linda to inform her of his victory. During a video call, he spots a man on Linda's bed and asks who it is, but Linda simply tells him to mind his own business. Then he shows Linda that he solved the chemical answer for reversion, and she's impressed that Sebastian was able to solve it so easily. After hanging up, Linda wakes up her boyfriend and coworker Matt and tells him that they must rush to the lab because Sebastian has finally cracked the reversal formula. She tells him they should take their separate cars since their affair is secret, but Matt thinks today is the perfect time to inform Sebastian about their relationship. Next, Sebastian arrives at the laboratory in a completely secure building. He enters an elevator by scanning his fingerprint and saying his password. Inside, they research animals that are invisible to the naked eye and can only be observed through thermal imaging. After that, Matt goes to meet an invisible gorilla named Isabel, but before he can inject her with Sebastian's solution, the animal scratches him and flees the cage. Matt pursues her across the lab and runs into Sebastian, informing him that Isabel has become more hostile. However, Sebastian and Matthew chase the unseen gorilla until they eventually corner her. Just then, Sarah, who is the lab veterinarian, argues with Sebastian about whether or not to inject the serum into Isabel because it's not tested yet. She believes it's unethical, and Linda agrees, reminding Sebastian that he hired Sarah because she is the best veterinarian in the country. To get ready for the injection, Sarah checks Isabel's vital signs before spraying a dye on her arms. The team also includes Carter, Frank, and Janice, who then give Sebastian's serum to the gorilla, and they're relieved to see the gorilla's body appear. However, the gorilla soon begins deteriorating, and she experiences cardiac arrest. All of the staff members get terrified by this, and they use a defibrillator on the animal, and soon, Isabel's body steadily emerges as her condition stabilizes. Later, the research team dines in a fancy restaurant to celebrate their accomplishment. Sebastian and Linda have a serious talk in which he expresses his desire to make things right with her, but Linda says she's no longer interested in him. Next, Sebastian submits his findings to the Pentagon Commission. During the meeting, Sebastian's former teacher, Dr. Kramer, inquires about how they resolve the reversion issue, but he lies and says that they haven't, which surprises Matt and Linda. Kramer points out that they must show results quickly or he'll find a replacement if they're unable to make it work. While leaving, Sebastian explains to Linda and Matt that he was hesitant to inform the military of their success, fearing that the government would take over their research. As part of his plan to change the course of history and possibly earn the Nobel Prize, he also discusses how he wants to proceed with illegal human trials. When they later share the plan with the team, nobody is happy with it. Still, Sebastian is adamant about moving forward and declares that he will be used as the experiment's main subject. Now is the day of the procedure, and Matt cautions Sebastian that he still has time to change his mind, but Sebastian simply dismisses him. On the surgical table, Sebastian takes the serum from Linda and says he'll inject himself so she won't be blamed if anything goes wrong. He feels tense after taking the serum, and his pulse rate increases as a result. The others prepare the defibrillator for any emergencies, and he starts being invisible. Finally, Sebastian becomes fully invisible, and although he is physically well, he becomes unconscious due to the experiment. 17 hours later, Sebastian awakens and cries in agony, pleading with Linda and Matt to turn off the lights. Everything appears to be in order, but to ensure the results, they must constantly monitor him, which requires someone working the night shift. Sarah promises to stand guard, but as soon as she's alone, she falls asleep. Later, Sebastian uses his invisibility to touch her when she's sleeping. She suddenly wakes up, not sure if she's dreamed it or not, but Sarah shares the incident with her colleagues. Due to this, the girls begin to feel less comfortable because they never know when Sebastian may be monitoring them. The next day, Sebastian asks Linda that they sleep together, just for the sensation of doing it with an invisible person, but Linda firmly rejects his offer. 3 days have passed, and it's now time to make Sebastian visible. The team tries to bring him back using the serum, but Sebastian chokes, and his organs appear to disappear randomly. They soon stabilize him, but decide to keep his condition hidden from the committee. Then, they make a synthetic mask for Sebastian because he will be in this situation for quite a while. Over the next few days, Matt desperately tries to figure out how to reverse the procedure without killing Sebastian. Meanwhile, Sebastian is frustrated after 10 days of being in a state of invisibility. One night, he decides to go out, while Carter is the only one at the lab checking over him. Carter claims that he cannot let him leave since the rules prohibit it, but Sebastian argues that it's his rule and that he is the authority to amend it. Then, Sebastian walks away and promises to return in a few hours, whereas Carter calls Linda to inform her of the situation. Next, we see Sebastian driving home, singing in his car while enjoying his freedom. When he arrives at his place and sees his attractive neighbor, he goes to see her and ends up forcefully taking advantage of her. After having his way with her, Sebastian looks out the window and notices Linda in his apartment. He then waits until Linda is gone before returning to his place. Back at the lab, the team plans to find Sebastian while stressing the importance of keeping his condition hidden from the outside world. But Sebastian unexpectedly returns to the lab, stating that he just went to his flat to collect some stuff. He claims to be the project manager and has the ultimate say on things, but Linda threatens to report him to the committee if he leaves without permission. Afterward, we see Linda sleeping peacefully when Sebastian pulls her covers off and starts undressing her. Her phone suddenly rings and she awakens from her nightmare. Later, Matt believes he's discovered a solution and shares it with the team. However, the simulation fails at 95%, which enrages Sebastian, prompting him to storm out of the room. The following evening, Sebastian puts together a device that plays a video loop of his heat signal in his room. The looping video tricks Frank into thinking Sebastian is still in the lab, when in reality, he's left. He then goes to Linda's place and spies on her. Matt walks into her apartment, which irritates Sebastian, so when they move to the other room, Sebastian breaks the window. Linda looks outside and sees no one, and she assumes that it's Sebastian. Immediately, Linda calls Frank to confirm, but he tells Linda that Sebastian is still in the lab because an earlier recording is still playing on the monitor. When Sebastian returns to the lab, he's enraged and ends up killing a dog. And later, after reviewing the security tape, the team discovers that Sebastian spent the whole night in bed. That evening, we see Linda, who is in her room and thinks Sebastian is there. She tells him he's not funny and then uses a blanket to expose his cover. Linda immediately rushes out of her flat into her car, frightened. When she arrives at the lab, Matt informs her that Sebastian is sleeping as indicated by the monitor, but she still goes to check on him. She notices Sebastian's gone and discovers he's done something to the camera. After this, Linda quickly calls the entire team and informs them that she and Matt are going to tell the committee what Sebastian has been hiding. However, she assures them that they should not be concerned because she and Matt will take on all of the responsibility. Meanwhile, Sebastian stands nearby, listening to everything they're saying. Soon, Matt and Linda arrive at Kramer's house and tell him everything, while Sebastian spies on them from outside. Kramer tells them that he will contact the necessary people and ask them to pack their belongings. After they leave, Sebastian attacks and drowns Kramer beside the pool. Kramer yells for help to his wife, but he's already dead by the time she arrives there. The next day, when Linda arrives at the lab, Sebastian surprises her by telling her that it will be a busy day. Matt discloses that Sebastian returned around 3 a.m., and he's been strolling around the lab ever since. Shortly after, the team learns that Kramer mysteriously drowned in his pool last night. When Linda dials the number of one of the generals, the call is disconnected, and they discover they're cut off from the outside. Frank examines the surveillance equipment, while Matt warns that it might be several days before someone starts looking for them. While the team hunts for Sebastian, Janice slips behind, and he strangles her with an IV line and stuffs her body in a locker. Soon, they find Janice's body, and Linda, Sarah, and Frank shelter in the lab, while Matt and Carter use tranquilizer guns to search for Sebastian using thermographic goggles. Just then, Matt fires at a steam vent's heat signature, and when he looks around, Sebastian, who is standing on top of a pipe, has yanked Carter into the air. Matt tries to shoot him, but Sebastian tosses Carter against a steel bar, severing his carotid artery and causing major blood loss. Sebastian nearly kills Matt, but fortunately Linda arrives and saves him. Not long after, Sarah and Frank discover Carter, who is barely conscious and injured. Despite Frank's wishes, Sarah goes off by herself to find blood for a transfusion. When she detects Sebastian's presence, she scatters the blood over the room, waiting for him to walk into it and reveal his location. But Sebastian shoots her with her tranquilizer dart instead, and then breaks her neck. Meanwhile, Linda and Matt discover Frank caring for Carter during his last breath. Carter bleeds to death, and the three of them set out to find Sarah. But they're horrified to discover her body in the walk-in freezer. Frank sprays a fire extinguisher to reveal Sebastian, but he attacks from behind with a crowbar. Then Sebastian stabs Matt in the lower chest with the hook end. After that, he puts Linda and Matt in the freezer, lowers the temperature, and leaves them to die. Frantically, Linda manages to close Matt's wound with duct tape. She then attempts to open the freezer door but fails to do so. On the other hand, Sebastian plans his escape while preparing substances to blow up the facility. To test it, he concocts a mixture and throws it like a grenade. Moments later, Linda makes a magnet out of the defibrillator and opens the door by drawing out the lever with the magnet. She then drags Matt outside and starts a fire to warm him up. Not long after, Linda stops Sebastian at the lift and uses a flamethrower to set him on fire. She lowers herself to the floor to prevent the elevator doors from shutting and continues to fire flames at him. But when her gas tank leaks, Sebastian manages to escape. He then strikes Linda covertly and tries to kill her. But just when he's about to end her life, Matt shows up and slams Sebastian with a crowbar. Despite this, Sebastian recovers and captures the crowbar. But since he's wet, he ends up electrocuting him when he accidentally hits a fuse box. While electricity passes through his body, Sebastian's muscles, bones, and organs become visible, but his skin and what's left of his hair remain unseen. Moments later, the explosive detonates and the lift rockets up the shaft rapidly. Somehow, Linda and Matt make it out in time, but just then, Sebastian grabs Linda and kisses her. However, she grabs the elevator cable and knocks the car free, throwing Sebastian into the fire below, and finally killing him. In the end, Linda and Matt escape from the burning lab, and the medics carry them away in an ambulance.